Coming up on Currently, we'll discuss the future of 5 Mile Road, an update from Wednesday's Garfield Township meeting, and spending that sweet, sweet marijuana money. That's all ahead on Currently. Welcome to Currently, where we discuss some of the top local stories directly from the journalists who are covering them. I'm your host, Crystal Frost. We have a great show for you. Beth Milligan has been covering a lot of news this week, so we're going to hyper-focus and channel the reporting energy of Beth so we can better understand it. This podcast was recorded on Thursday, June 12th at 5 p.m. The Tigers are 44-25, leading the American League Central. But that said, things may change by the time you're watching or listening. And support for Currently comes from Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings, located on South Garfield Avenue in Traverse City. It's home fashion elevated. And from West Shore Bank. When you choose West Shore Bank, you're not just choosing a bank, you're choosing a partner committed to the well-being of our community. Visit them today on 8th Street or at westshorebank.com. And from the Coin Slot Arcade Bar in Traverse City. It's a chill hangout with a full bar and a low-key setting. Before we kick it into news gear, I would like to tell you about an incredible resource that's helping people right here in our community. That resource is called HelpLink. HelpLink is a platform. It uses technology to link individuals in need with community members and organizations and companies, all of those who can help. It springs from the success of Spark in the Dark. HelpLink hopes to bridge the gap between the generosity and the needs of our community. And now is where you come in. HelpLink has a mission to raise $200,000. And thanks to the generosity of Bill and Debbie Marsh, they have an opportunity to receive a $25,000 match, which will allow them to be well on their way to reaching that goal. That goal of helping individuals across our region meet their needs with targeted and impactful funding requests, coming through the state-of-the-art fundraising platform that is HelpLink. I'm asking you now to help make that match happen. You can donate directly at helplink.org/donate. HelpLink is more than a fundraising platform, though. It's a way for our local community members to be matched with their generous neighbors to meet their needs. All the funding requests are vetted, and HelpLink fulfills the need directly, handling the payment to ensure that all donations are going where they're supposed to go. This is what I love most about HelpLink. The need that is being met is local. The people in need are local. The donors are local, and the platform is local. So please consider helping them meet their fundraising goal and get that $25,000 match by donating now, helplink.org/donate. Welcome back to Currently. Beth, we have a new set.
We do.
I got to tell you, I feel like very, very professional now. Mm-hmm. Do you feel a little bit elevated?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here.
We're getting old. We're getting into our 20s. We got to grow up a little bit.
Well, welcome, Beth. Thanks for coming in. I think this is show number, number 19 now, number 20.
Yeah, it's getting close to the 20s.
Oh my gosh, we're almost going to be 21.
I know.
What are we going to do? It's crazy. We have a lot to unpack this week, and I'm really excited to do that. So I kind of want to start with talking about what just happened on Wednesday night at the Garfield Township meeting, and people have been waiting to see whether or not this trampoline park is going to happen. I am people.
Yeah.
Tell me, is it going to happen?
It's going to happen, or at least it has the green light to happen from the township. So, yes, Garfield Township Planning Commissioners met on Wednesday night. This was one of several projects that were on the Planning Commission agenda. They did approve, last week on the show, we talked about this plan for the Cherryland Center. They did approve Altitude Trampoline Park going into the former Big Lot space. I'm hoping this approval will help clear up what I have seen as being a lot of misinformation online.
There's a ton of it.
I think people are just mixing up the two malls and Ollie's and where Ollie's is going and where Big Lots is going. So let us set the record straight.
Okay, we're going to set the record straight, people. Pay attention.
And if I have to keep commenting on Overheard in Traverse City, I will, but I don't like to do it.
She doesn't like it.
Ollie's is going into the former TJ Maxx space in the Grand Traverse Mall. Already been approved to do that. The trampoline park is going into Big Lots.
Big Lots.
In the Cherryland Center.
Because they have that high ceiling.
They have the high ceiling for the trampolines. Good memory from last week.
Thank you.
They did approve it with some conditions, meaning they have to address some things at the property before they're allowed to open. Notably, and I found this out when I went to take photos for this story, the parking lot over there is, I would describe as maybe a little bit Mad Max, a little bit apocalyptic. There are some major potholes over in that parking lot, especially right in front of the Big Lots area. Other parts of the mall have been redeveloped and the parking lot's a little bit more up to speed. That one has to be addressed. So they did talk about that. That's a requirement to get the parking lot in good shape. But other than that, if they can meet those site conditions, they're approved to, start doing the renovation work and hopefully, open in the coming months.
And they shall bounce.
And everyone shall bounce, and it will be all good in Traverse City. The Grand Traverse Mall, which again is where Ollie's is going, also was on the agenda last night for the township. They were talking about the Macy's space. We touched on this last week. I will say some more details emerged last night about this space.
And this is where you put on your news hat, though.
This is where I put on my news hat. So last week I had said in a personal conjecture that I thought maybe Trader Joe's was coming in. Some of the comments that the developer Daniel Stern made last night made me think it more. Now I'm moving towards a Whole Foods in my betting instead of Trader Joe's. He did say it's going to be a national gourmet food store, and he emphasized organic foods, which is something Whole Foods really advertises a lot. It's also a brand that Lormax Stern, the development company, has worked with before. The National Bookstore we mentioned before, which I think could be a Barnes & Noble based on how many times they worked with Barnes & Noble. They said there's going to be an outdoor apparel retailer and a quote-unquote upscale apparel store. So 4 major tenants.
I'm trying to figure out, I love playing the guessing game.
The guessing game is fun. He did say that these are all established brand names that have been around for a long time. He said they're going to be around for a long time. They are planning to do a lot of renovations to that Macy's space. They said they want it to be a beautiful new space. He did also talk about, we mentioned last week, they're going to be building a drive-through restaurant in an outlet building. He said very wink to the camera last night because they're not allowed to say the tenant names yet. Sure. But he said it was Chipotle-like. And then later he said it's a fast casual Mexican restaurant. We already have 2 Qdobas in Traverse City, so that really makes me think it's Chipotle. And I know Chipotle has been trying to come here, so that seems likely. What I also thought, Christal, was interesting about the mall conversation last night is, it was kind of publicly discussed for the first time that the rest of the mall property has been listed for sale. So it is with a major real estate firm, CBRE. It is on the market. There was a lot of discussion at the Planning Commission last night about you've got a strong anchor tenant in Target. You have this major redevelopment project happening with Macy's. The rest of the mall, a little bit worn down, a lot of vacancies. What's going to happen with that? Daniel Stern, the Macy's developer, did say, there's some concerns that maybe an out-of-state buyer would buy the mall and just sit on it and kind of let it deteriorate to let the land value accumulate, which sometimes happens with mall properties. But he was hopeful that all the attention that will be coming from these new tenants coming in from Target will put pressure on the middle, and hopefully they'll find a good new buyer for the middle part to really redevelop the whole property. The other thing that's happening at the mall project, there's been a long-discussed service drive that would connect the mall out to the Lowe's intersection.
Oh, that'd be great.
So to provide another way to kind of get around the 31 traffic, get over to Chick-fil-A and the hotel there without having to go out on the highway. That project has stalled, quite frankly, because Brookfield Properties, the current mall owner, hasn't really been interested in participating in those discussions. But now Chick-fil-A, the new Macy's owners, there's some momentum happening there of new owners wanting to have that service drive happen. So we could see some, potential real growth and change happen at the Grand Traverse Mall.
Can I ask you, Ollie's going into the former TJ Maxx space. They are not going to have an entrance inside the mall.
Correct.
Right? And neither is Macy's.
And that is a trend when Ollie's went in that Garfield Township was a little bit concerned about. I think in this case, the tenants that are coming in, that they sort of suspect are coming in, could be so major and such a big attraction, that area, that I think they were okay with that being closed off. It does pose some interesting issues, though, of how the rest of the mall will be built out or redeveloped.
Right, yeah. Very interesting issues for that. So, so that's a little bit of what was discussed in Wednesday night's meeting. They also discussed some housing plans. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so just 2 projects. One is Lake Point Village, which is over on Boardman Lake. There is a proposal from that developer to build 2 more, to kind of expand that neighborhood, 2 more residential buildings off Oak Hollow Drive. So they had some discussion about that last night. July 9th will be the meeting at which they'll probably vote to approve that project.
Okay.
And then there was a conceptual review, which is when a developer comes forward and says, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Before I go through all the expense of submitting a formal application and engineering, I'm going to bring it to you informally and just sort of see what you think about it.
Yeah.
And it lets them get some informal feedback early on so they can then kind of shape their design plans around the feedback from the township. So this was a 41 duplex development called Harris Hills Estate, which is at the corner of Lone Tree and Harris Roads.
Oh, yeah.
Out on the west side of town near Zimmerman. And so there was a development there a couple years ago that had been proposed that never came forward. This is a new project. The developer described it very similar to Lone Tree, same kind of houses, price range, and probably a connection between those neighborhoods. So that's still in the early phases, but they did get some good feedback last night and will likely come back with that project in the future.
Well, that's great. I mean, I'm obsessed with all the housing stuff that's going on. I'm just like, please build more housing.
We
I think
certainly need it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we are going to take a quick break, and I'm going to tell you all about some really great things that are happening with Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings, and then we'll be back. And Beth, I have to remind you that I've been on the hunt for a new mattress, right? After a few months of waking up in the middle of the night, sore neck, sore back, sore everything, I can't be that old, right? So, of course, my go-to spot is Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings. They have America's original mattress. It's Stearns & Foster. Every model is in stock and ready for me and you to try, and it's been great. But as I'm lying back, trying out all of these great Stearns & Foster queen mattresses, I'm thinking, maybe I need a bigger bed. I mean, maybe we all do, right? That's when I went from looking for a new queen mattress to looking for a new king mattress and a whole new bedroom set. Listen, a queen mattress was just fine until I got my two dogs, who are the biggest bed hogs. They're the tiniest dogs in the planet, somehow the biggest bed hogs of all time. So I'm testing out Stearns & Foster king mattresses and looking for complete bedroom sets. And Golden-Fowler has everything that I need for that. All of it. If you're looking for a new mattress or an entirely new bed set, look no further than Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings on South Garfield Avenue in Traverse City. They are home of the original Stearns & Foster, which has been keeping you comfortable for over 100 years. It's the gold standard in mattresses. Stop into Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings and try out a comfortable mattress that fits your body and your budget. Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings. Rest, live, and repeat. All right, welcome back to Currently. Here I am with Beth Milligan, head writer for the Traverse City Ticker. I forgot to tell people that, but I mean, they should know by now, right?
Yeah.
If they don't know.
Everyone should know that.
Everyone should know. We're going to be talking about the future of 5 Mile Road. I've long been very fascinated by 5 Mile Road because
Interesting road.
it kind of comes and goes. Yeah. There's different entrances. It feels like sometimes you're driving on it, you're like, where am I? What's going on here? What is the future of 5 Mile Road? And where does it stand? What is it now?
Yeah, I know. You're right. Well, no, because it has like the kind of rural section that comes off Hammond, you know, and then like that's like very quiet and sort of in the country. And then you come up to Holiday Hills and then you go out to 31 and it's kind of like that weird parallel.
Yeah.
That's along 31.
It's a beautiful, like when it's sort of parallel 31 and you can see the bay, it's a gorgeous road.
Yeah. So there was discussion at the Grand Traverse County Road Commission recently about this stretch of 5 Mile. And it was really about the stretch north of Holiday. So we're talking between Holiday and US 31, the stretch you're talking about, that sort of scenic stretch. Tart Trails wanted to partner with the Road Commission to apply for a state grant to potentially create a separated pathway for pedestrians and cyclists along that stretch of 5 Mile Road. The Tart Trail does run through there, but a large part of it is just next to the road. You know, the vehicles are right there. There's no like separated trail. It just runs along like the shoulder of the road. And that has been a real problem over the years. One, there's a section of the Tart Trail coming out to 5 Mile that crosses a railroad crossing.
Oh, yeah.
It's at a weird grade. There have been a lot of accidents there, a lot of people falling off their bikes. The other issue along 5 Mile is that that's a stretch where, you know, people are often going over 50 miles an hour, sometimes speeding, going faster. You have distracted drivers. They're either looking out at the bay or we know a lot of people are unfortunately looking at their phones. And with no separation there, and the official Tart Trail coming out onto that road, it just creates a situation where there's a lot of vehicle and potential cyclist conflicts. And even when I went to take pictures the other day, I saw multiple people, jogging down the road, but seeming like a little bit concerned about what's going on. So the Road Commission did agree to partner with TART on this grant application. They'll likely wait until the fall or a little bit later to do this because the timing of this project is a little bit dependent on the potential reconstruction of 5 Mile itself.
Okay.
That's what sort of prompted the discussion. The Road Commission staff had let TART Trails know in the next couple of years this reconstruction project is going to happen. And TART was like, well, if we're going to do that, we should do the trail at the same time.
Yeah.
Don't shut the road down twice. Have some, efficiencies of cost there. So that's the goal. What I thought was interesting in the Road Commission discussion is sometimes staff know about projects coming up in the future that road commissioners themselves don't even, know. They're planning for the future. But it's really the Road Commission each year when they set their budget, they're deciding the projects that are going to be coming up. So they did say at their meeting, we don't know for sure that 5 Mile is going to be reconstructed. We don't even know the projects that are going to be happening in 2026, much less 2028. Sure. But there was a mention at this meeting that was interesting, that there has been a Road Commission discussion about the potential of talking to MDOT about dead-ending 5 Mile Road so that it would not go out onto US 31 and perhaps would end in a cul-de-sac or some kind of closure there, because that intersection itself, 5 Mile and 31, has also been a site of it's a weird turn.
Yeah,
and
that's a tough one.
Yeah. So, we saw a lot of interested comments from our readers this week about that. A lot of people, I would say, did not like the idea of dead-ending 5 Mile.
Sure.
But again, no decisions have been made about that roadway either way. I just think in the next couple of years, as they look at the trail, as they look at the safety of that corridor, they're either going to be talking about something like repaving or reconstructing, or potentially looking at, do we, shut it down or change it at the end in some way?
If they shut it down, what happens to the existing road? I have an idea.
Go.
How about like a long, long slide? Just like
this is what we have you here for. Yeah. You got the pump track, you got the long, long slide.
I mean, it would be cool. Like the slide at Belle Isle, if we built something really, and it was zoom, zoom, and people are falling, I'd love that.
I think that sounds great. You should definitely bring that to the next road
slide. People would love it. I don't know how they get there.
Well, I think there was some hope that maybe, that traffic when it gets to Holiday would just go out onto 31, where on the other side a little bit to the west instead of going down. But again, we'll see. No decisions on that. We did also mention in the story, Christal, just to let folks know some other road projects coming up. The major one started today, Thursday, while we're taping, which is the reconstruction of 3 Mile.
Oh, this is a big one.
I'm sure people have already had to deal with this one today. Because 3 Mile is a major, north-south way into town there, or east-west, depending which way you're going. But it will be closed between Hammond and Southport roads for most of the summer, starting today.
People are going to go bonks on this one. This is a major, major highway for people. I mean, and I know a lot of people, a lot of people who work on that side of town that are just like, how do I get to work?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be challenging. So there are obviously like businesses and residents in that stretch, like the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy, for example, one of the fire stations. If you're going to places within that corridor, there are ways to get there. It will probably take you some time. You slow down. But all the through traffic can't go that way. So if you're going around that site now, you'll be using Garfield this summer. You'll be using 4 Mile and Hammond to get around it. It does need to be reconstructed. So when it's done, it will have paved shoulders. There'll be a third turn passing lane.
That'll be nice.
A new pedestrian crossing across the road where a new TART trailhead's going in the future. And the goal is to get it done by the end of August because we have school starting. And we have 4 schools right around the 3 Mile and Hammond intersection. So
maybe
that's the goal.
Don't have to go back to school.
I mean, I know my nieces and nephews would love that, but yeah.
I bet they would. Well, that's really, thank you so much for the update on that. I mean, road construction season is always here.
It's always here.
It's just that orange barrel season that I call it. And, if you're listening, road commissioners, think about that long, long slide.
Just tuck that in. Pocket for a rainy day.
We're going to finish up on a conversation about ever since Michigan voted to legalize marijuana, recreational marijuana, there's been this side conversation happening about what to do with the taxes that are coming from this marijuana money. And I remember way back in the day, so many people just being like, yeah, legalize it, tax it, use it for this, use it for that. there are very specific plans that are being made now for that marijuana money.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, each jurisdiction is a little bit different. And like as you said, they're all kind of coming up with their own uses or plans for spending the money. The story that I had was about Grand Traverse County specifically, and really about two revenue streams, marijuana and also opioid settlement funds, which is another one that a lot of jurisdictions are getting. The marijuana funds, it's not, an insignificant amount of money. I mean, last year it was $886,000. This year it was over $931,000. So we're getting close to $1 million a year.
Just from revenues collected on marijuana taxes, right?
Right. And those are, distributed proportionally to counties, cities, villages, and so forth, if they have dispensaries or marijuana businesses.
So you have to elect into it. You have to buy into it.
And then you have, and then your distribution is based on, a lot of things, but it mostly like the number of establishments you have operating there. So in Grand Traverse County, there are actually 16, or there were as of 2024. Last year when they got the money, they didn't have really a set spending policy for that. So they kind of just put it towards different projects. About $500,000 went to Camp Grey Lick.
Okay.
Our new county park. They gave some money to Pine Rest. Supportive housing. But they did say, and those are all worthwhile projects, but they did say that what they were afraid of is if they just had this pot of money every year, then sort of everyone starts showing up at a meeting with their handout, asking for.
And they don't really have a plan.
And they don't have a plan, and they don't have a way to say, how do we know which funding needs are a priority? Or making sure we do this in a fair way. So next Wednesday, they're going to be discussing proposals. There was an ad hoc committee that's worked for several months on recommended spending plan. For the marijuana spending plan, they are recommending, each year in the spring, the commissioners will find out how much money they're getting from the previous year. And they talked about kind of having two funding streams. They would use some of it towards county goals, and those are in their county strategic plan. So
that's kind of
internal building projects. Sure. Maybe staffing, things that they have as a priority in the strategic plan. The other would be external. And what they're talking about right now is the possibility of having between $25,000 and $100,000 awards that would go to nonprofits, schools, colleges and universities, churches, economic development organizations. And so each year, people could apply if they're in those categories for specific projects that they might want funding assistance.
So it becomes another grant funding source.
Yeah, essentially.
I like
these awards. And similarly, for opioid settlements, which many communities across the U.S. are getting settlement dollars from these big pharmaceutical companies from the opioid epidemic. In this case, Grand Traverse County has about $1.65 million currently. Over the next several years, they're supposed to get over $5 million more. So they are looking at the same thing. Now, those dollars have specific requirements attached to them, but usually oriented around the idea of helping people with substance use disorders, things that you might think of would, of course, help heal the harm of opioids in the community.
So treatment, dollars for treatment centers, dollars, transportation to treatment, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And so similarly, they kind of talked about, just like as with the marijuana funds, like two tracks. So track A would be a committee of county staff who would allocate it towards internal county purposes. And those would be things that are already addressing substance use, like the law enforcement agencies or the health department. And then track B would be a partnership with the community foundation to award annual grants to community partners. We have so many great nonprofits and health organizations in our community who are working with people struggling with addiction or substance use disorder. And so there would be annual grants from that to those groups. And that committee would primarily be community partners who would help decide how those dollars are spent.
Yeah, I could see so many wonderful uses for that. I mean, we have so many great organizations. I'm even thinking of the Traverse City Health Clinic, because of sort of the mess that Medicaid is in right now, and a lot of fear surrounding whether or not people are going to be able to get their Suboxone or their other medical assisted treatments to treat their substance use disorders. There's a lot of fear and a lot of worry around that. And, I quite frankly think if you could use opioid funding to ensure that people are staying on their sober track, that's the idea.
Yeah. And they talked about uses like that, like, investing in youth prevention, making sure that they had a transparent process for where funds are spent. Spending to save lives was one of the values they talked about.
Yeah.
So again, that'll be on the June 18th County Commission agenda. Those plans could be tweaked slightly based on commission feedback, or they could choose to adopt them as they're proposed.
Yeah.
But that seems like we're kind of getting a sense of where the direction is going. And that will be good news for people who have been waiting for this money to be distributed, because it's been sitting there for some time, especially the opioid money. And I know commissioners are also eager to start getting that funding out into the community.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm one of those people who've been like, hello, where's that money? Where did we put it? Because I think there's also this idea, too, that you kind of forget about it. Right? And it's just sort of sitting there, and then people go, oh, yeah, there's that.
And the good news is once you have the process, then each year
you
kind of know you're set up to start distributing it a little bit faster.
I don't know about what, obviously you're covering this for Grand Traverse County, but I know that there are, many, many other counties trying to figure out how to use their settlement dollars as well. And Wexford County has very few, if any, sober living houses. So I could see that as like a really good, use for that money as well. Well, that is our show today. But before we go, what are you looking forward to in the upcoming week?
Yeah. We've had our friends at the Boardman Review, a great local publication, on before on the show. And the Boardman Review does these launch parties when they have a new issue coming out on a quarterly basis. So there will be one next Wednesday at 6 o'clock at Seven Hills out on Old Mission Peninsula. And those events, have people sharing from stories from the magazine. There's usually music or art or discussions about that. So yeah, those are great events.
Lovely. That sounds great. I'm looking forward to something. I can't believe that this was off my radar until I was thinking about what to look forward to. And there it was. Tomorrow at Turtle Creek Stadium, Saturday, it's the Mac and Cheese Festival. Did you know about this?
I heard about it, but I forgot it was coming up fast.
Oh my gosh. 30 vendors serving up proof that God loves us. It's macaroni and cheese. Tickets start at $44. You can get just the mac. You can get the mac and beer combination.
Can you get just the cheese?
You can, oh my gosh. That would be amazing. Yeah. Just like intravenous. Just an IV of cheese. That sounds amazing. If you have a dairy intolerance, it's worth the cramping. I'm just going to put it out there, okay?
So one day a year. You can handle it.
That's tomorrow at Turtle Creek Stadium, and you can get your tickets. They start at $44. I'm excited about that.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So thanks again for another wonderful show. We're going to be back next Friday, and we have a special guest. Ellie Katz is going to be back for her second show. She's from Interlochen Public Radio. Be sure to subscribe to the show on all the platforms at crystalfrost.com. You can follow us on social media and subscribe to Currently with Crystal Frost wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch the full show on YouTube and on Facebook. And Currently is a Compass Local podcast produced by Pancake Boy Productions. Big thanks to our lead supporter, Golden-Fowler Home Furnishings, in addition to West Shore Bank and the Coin Slot. Speaking of the Coin Slot, did you know that they have live music, like literally every weekend?
Yes.
In the parking lot? Bands play in the parking lot?
Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think.
Yeah, they play on top of the outdoor bar. And let me tell you, it is the place to be in Traverse City.
It's so fun. I love to sit out there, just a drink or an ice cream cone, and you just watch everyone stop by and they're like, what is happening in here? It's always a party.
People, because they have the super cone right out there too. So people are getting their ice cream and they're like, oh, music. And then they're like, where's that music coming from? And then they look up and it's a whole band on top of a bar.
Yeah.
It's the coolest.
Awesome.
So, if you want to be cool, do that.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.